Well, hey, peepers. It's me again, Margaret. Yeah, it's me. I'm sitting here looking at this sun coming through this beautiful canopy of trees. We got so many leaves now. It's beautiful. Not quite full of leaves, but it's leaves nonetheless. Let me see if you can see it. See? I was looking at that. It's just gorgeous. Most everything's growing now, so I'm pretty sure spring is, even though we might have a few chills in the mornings, it's still, we're in spring, full-fledged, y'all. Full-fledged. Oh, drinking my coffee. Oh. Oh, well, my neighbor's son's coming in. Coming to visit his dad. His dad lives alone. He's so loyal. Of course, he's the only one. He's the only one left out of his children. But he still lives alone and brings his dogs by every day, so my dogs and his dogs can go back and forth and say hey. Oh. Well, I'm on here because, well, I got inspired this morning. I did. I sent my all the men in my family and all the women in my family, like nieces, nephews, my son, my daughter, people who have children. Hopefully that they can see that it's a ritual, it's a routine, it's something that happens every single generation. That as you grow as children, you love mom, you love her so much, and blah blah blah, and then when you reach a certain age, she's too controlling, she's getting in my business, that's love, that's love. That's a mother's job, is to love and protect her children, and always keep in the forefront of their mind things that could happen or could be, or it's a mother's love to what this particular generation of people would say is, she's intrusive, she's becoming, in my business. It's not that. She loves you. She loves you. That's her job, is to protect you. And it's hard for a mother to let go. And sometimes, it mothers worry. They pray for their children. Some children understand, and they gently, assure mom that, you know, I'm okay. I'm gonna be okay. And then, mom says, "Well, call me," and they will call just to ease mom's suffering, her heart. But others are just downright cruel, mean, and it's get out of my business. And they shut the door pretty much. They don't call. They don't talk. They're rude. They don't come visit. They hold grudges against everything that she's ever done that they didn't like as a child, and they really never know it until they actually become a parent of their own, and they go, I'm going to change. I'm not going to be like my mom, or I'm not going to let my kids be treated by my wife like my mom did. And then they realize that they have created a monster because they don't know where they're at. They run their mouth to them like they're friends instead of, to their parent like they're a friend instead of like their parent. There's a reason why mothers are given a responsibility to love and protect and to guide. And there's a reason why fathers are supposed to be strong, the strength, the disciplinarian, the person who, has the authority. There's a reason why that is in the family unit. But every generation slips away, each generation. But then each generation has its families that are strong and others that are, well, we're going to do things differently. And so you get more and more anger, more and more of what we have today. And that is no morals in many places. And that's why a lot of people of today are trying to bring back morals because they're lost. I don't know one human being that's a cat. I don't know one human being that's supposed to use a litter box. I don't know one human being whatsoever who has a dog tail. I don't know one human being who was born wrong. They were born the way they were born. If you're a girl, you're a girl. If you're a boy, you're a boy. I mean, it's an identity crisis. It's because they really have had no, and it's beyond me that people, even people of my age, who allow their children and grandchildren to think in such a way because the public or society says it's okay. It's not. It means there's something wrong right here. And for parents and grandparents to agree with it, then there's something wrong here. Not just here, but here. Um, and I blame it on society because, and I blame it on the parents who believe into that society. But my grandson was like, "Oh, I like purple. I like purple." I am wonderfully thankful that my grandson loves purple. But unfortunately, he has parents and people around him and others who have this crazy mindset that says, then you're a sissy if you like purple. You're a little girl if you're going to whine about me telling you you're a sissy. No, no, no. What kind of parenting is that? That's bullcrap. That's you don't even need kids if you're going to say things like that to children. What's a color? What's a color? There's nothing wrong with purple. I think if a man wears purple, he wears pink, he wears, the colors that are like most people say sissified or girly. I think that's a man who is very secure in his manhood. And I think my grandson at 13 years old is very secure in his manhood. But because they kept calling him sissy, because they kept calling him a little girl, and saying only little girls like this, my son's girlfriend was like, and I got onto her, let me tell you, right in front of my son. Only little girls like pink. Only little girls like purple. So if you like those, then you're a little girl. And I got all over the whole brood. I said, no. And so he started thinking that, well, maybe I'm a little girl. There's where it gets started. I said, Mikey, you're not a little girl. You're a little boy. Yeah, but I like little girl things. I said, and? Most men like little girl things. I didn't elaborate. I was like, but they kind of keep it to themselves so they don't get bullied by the other guys. Oh, I was like, so you're not a little girl. You're a little boy who likes little girl things. So you like pink. So you like purple. So you like to play with a baby doll. It doesn't matter. Baby dolls are another way of saying, I know how to take care of a baby. So I'm playing with a baby doll to learn how to care for a baby. I said, there's nothing wrong with that. it's all in how you treat them. It's what you say to them. It's how you construct your sentences on what's going into this little brain of theirs. My grandson is very secure in his boyhood. He just happens to like pink. He likes purple. Purple's his favorite. He likes to play games. He's a gamer boy, right? He just needs better guidance. And when the school systems and things like that kind of bend to these disturbing mental problems that are going on in society, then the school system has failed. Because the school system should understand that it is cut and dry. You teach biology, you teach science, and you know what science says. So teach it. And don't allow all this nonsense from all these people who have been mentally, what would be the word? They've been mentally failed. I mean, the world has fallen into a cesspool. But each generation throughout the generations do. But along comes a generation that says, no, this is unacceptable. And then they start re-evaluating things. And then they start making room for what's right. And those who don't want to, I think at one time they would call them demon possessed, because spiritually you are holding a spirit of, for me, craziness. Because I look in the mirror and I look at my husband and I'm like, we're totally two different people. There's no way I'm going to say I'm a boy, because I know that I'm not. If you can look in the mirror and see you have all the attributes of a certain, whether male or female, then you are what that is. And if your brain says, but I feel like well, I was a tomboy growing up. And that's what they called us, tomboys. I dressed like boys. I put jeans on, a t-shirt, and a ball hat, tennis shoes. Because back in the day, girls really didn't do a whole lot of that. You had to dress in the, skimpy stuff, the girly stuff. But I was wearing baggy jeans, with holes in the knees, and, I helped work on the cars. I worked out in the garden. I did boy stuff, and I hung out with my brother and his friends. And that doesn't mean you're a boy. It just means that you're able to hang out with the male, counterpart comfortably. It's beyond me that I'm still in awe at it. Not awe as in, wow, I like this, I'm in awe in it. Like, I need to pray for these people. Because we need to pray for this world that we live in, and the people with the mindsets that have taught these people through generations to be something that they're not. But they say, others are saying, you've got to be this way, and they think that they're not. It's a reverse. And in the scriptures, it says that there, in the last days, there'll come a generation where they'll say, things that are good are not. It'll say right will be wrong and wrong will be right. And that's pretty much what it is today. But every generation, if you go back, every generation for hundreds of years had the exact same thing. I mean, it's just like this all the way. And I'm not doing this, I'm going like this. Back and forth, back and forth. And the only way it's going to change is one person at a time, one group at a time, one community at a time, one state at a time, one country at a time, to change what has been made wrong and correct it, make it right. And only the people can do that, with the assistance of their government. If they have a good government that is not trying to rule over them, but to assist in helping. But pretty much it's in the laps of the people, the parents who's raising their children, and then the societies who hold strong to good morals, versus a society that bends the knee to every single thing that comes along. No, life isn't fair. No. Sometimes people do fall in the wayside. Scripture says that seeds are planted. Some grow in thorns, some grow in sand, some grow in cracks, and some grow on fertile ground. Some grow on rocks. Not all of them live or survive, simply because of where they landed, how they think, where they grow. There's a thing that goes out, I had on a towel. It says, grow where you're planted. Yeah, you got to grow where you're planted. And the only way you're going to get good soil is right here and right here. You can be in the most damnedest place. And when I say damnedest, I mean, bad place. But still come out wonderful. Still come out with a mind that is bright, a heart that is bright, a spirit that is bright. Because only you can change the ground in which the seeds fall. And only you can pick the seeds that fall in that ground. What are you attracted to? What is it you want? How are you going to teach your children something if you don't know yourself? If you're looking through eyes that are covered or rose-colored glasses and you can't see the truth, how can you teach your children the truth? You disrespect your parents, but you expect your children to respect you. Yeah, because I changed how I treated my children. Mm-hmm. But once they reach that certain age and you're trying to overreach your boundary, you're going to feel quite lonely, quite disrespected, because you're going to try to give advice at one point in your life to your child, and they're going to say, get out of my business. It ain't your life, it's mine. And you're going to feel like somebody just did this or bit off your nose. But I'm your parent, you should listen. No. You taught me to have my own mind. You taught me that I don't have to listen to my parents. My parents aren't wise. They have no, thing. And that's pretty much what it is this generation has pretty much overstepped into a different field and said that the older generation has no wisdom. We have computers, we have all this intelligence, and so we know better. But they haven't lived better. They haven't lived the life. They're going for what some AI or some computer or something else has said, versus someone who's literally lived the life, who's done, made the mistakes, or someone who has not made a mistake and has made millions, and they're trying to give advice, and the children just look at them and like, this is my life. Don't tell me what to do. It's a generation. It's a mindset and a heart set. You should be teaching your children morals. That's why the scriptures say, teach a child the way they should go when they're young and when they are old. They'll follow that same pattern. But if you're not teaching your children when they're young how to behave, how to understand the difference between a boy and a girl, and how married life is supposed to be, and how to treat a woman and how to treat a man, and all the basic stuff, then as they grow they're lost. And the school system isn't teaching them anything if they're bending to every single thing that comes along instead of the basics. This is biology. This is what you are. And if your brain is thinking because you're this, then you're this, or your brain is thinking, okay, I'm this, but I don't feel like this, so I'm going to be this. And then I'm going to bash anybody who tells me that just because you see a chest of a woman, just because you see a body of a woman, you're going to call me a girl? No, I'm insulted. No, you should be quite, happy, because they at least got eyes that can see that you look like a girl. You're feminine. You're not male. You give birth to babies. Only females do. Look at every species around the entire world. Only women. Except there's a few exceptions. I think the seahorse. I think a seahorse, the male carries the babies. But if you live in a sea, then go jump in it. If you're a seahorse, go jump in it. Let's see how long you live. Because most every animal that I know of, the female carries the babies. And there's a reason for that. She's a female. Her body is made to create this baby with inside of her. Males don't have that. Males do not have that. Sure, there are some instances where there are people who are born with both genitalia. Both. And in that case, I really don't believe that it is the parents' responsibility to pick which one they want. I really don't. I believe that you should leave them alone. And as they age and they, get older, they'll let you know what they are, because they'll feel what they are. And with all the science, you surely could be able to find out whether there's more estrogen in that child's body versus the male. with the science that there is today. But I don't think it's, I really think that should be up to the child on whether or not what they feel like they are. Then go through the process of what it takes to do that, if they choose to. But that gets into an entirely different thing. But this video was about, we've changed. We've come so far into a cesspool. And I think the uprise of Christianity in America is because of that. The Christian faith has now realized that it has stayed quiet way too long, and it's time to shut that door and fix the problem, fix the issue. And the only way that can happen is with God's help. Change the rules, change the laws, change how people view things, because I feel so sad for people who literally, children who are growing up thinking they're cats or dogs or some kind of a animated animal. It's ridiculous. It's saddening to me. And I know there's going to be peepers out there who don't like me saying those things. Well, that's your prerogative. And it's my privilege to be able to say the things I say. You don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with you. It is what it is. You believe whatever way you want to believe. And we'll still get along. I don't care. I love you anyway. My Bible tells me to love those who don't love me. Yeah. It also tells me to love my enemies. And it also says to love those who persecute me. It says to love them. To love them. And you know what it is to love somebody? Proverbs 27, I think it is. Get my, yeah. Proverbs 27, I believe it is. Hmm. 17. It says, iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. That's love. That is a form of brotherly love. Do you know what that means? You know, if you take a piece of metal, iron, and you try sharpening it just by rubbing it on it, it doesn't help. But if you try and get a good angle on it and you scrape it, it jerks. It's a rough thing, right? And then you'll see like pieces of fragile dust of metal everywhere. So sharpening iron isn't easy. It's friction. It's hurtful. If that was a human being, it's hurtful. You're hurting the iron. You're sharpening it. You're molding that iron. And it's the same thing with human beings. And that scripture says we're supposed to do that with our friends. So that's a form of love. That's not being mean, being angry. That's a love. It doesn't mean they hate you. It means that they're challenging you, right? And without challenge, you can't grow. And doing that and creating that dust of metal, you know that you are molding that iron. You're doing something. You know you're on the right path. Like when you're sharpening your knife in the house and it's got that V thing, and you do like that. When you just hit across it, it's like, okay, nothing's happening. But when you turn it one way and you do it and you get that friction, you know you're doing something. And when you're sharpening iron, that's the way you do it. And it says a friend is supposed to sharpen a friend the same way. So, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents, neighbors, friends, you're supposed to be sharpening those around you. It doesn't mean that you're angry at them. It doesn't mean you hate them. It means you speak the truth, whether they like it or not. You try to guide them on the right way, whether they like it or not. And those who are being guided, instead of being angry, try to look at it from a very positive perspective and say, okay, they're just trying to teach me something. Children, look at your mother and don't look at her like she's trying to tell you what to do. Look at it and say, she's just trying to guide me. And be nice to your mother. Be kind. Be calm. Try to look at the lesson she's trying to convey to you. Same with fathers. Fathers do the same thing. They try to convey something and it brings wrath to their children. And he's not trying to be mean. He's just trying to say, look, But sometimes it's in the words and how you say them, How you say them. If you're saying it like you're commanding them, then, yeah, they're going to get a little offended. But if you say it just in normal conversation, I don't see why they would become offended unless they just have a rock on their shoulder at all times, which is possible. But when scripture tells you that iron sharpens iron, and a man, what does it say? Iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend in the same way. So, be a friend. And yeah, they might not be ready for that friendship. Who cares? After a while, they'll see. They'll either want to stay around you or they won't. And if they don't, then they weren't your friend in the first place, but you do need to pray for them. Because friends understand. Friends are always there. Friends will say, why you treat me like this? Why you say those things? And you're able to explain, because you're my friend. And I don't want you going down that bad road. I done been there, I see what's on the other side. You're blind. You don't see what you're fixing to do, Help a friend out. What is it my husband and my brother Shane always say? Help a brother out. Teach them how to be men. Teach men how to be men. Teach the young boys how to be true men, true sacrificial men for their families, for their their life. Teach them how to be true stand-up men for their families, for their life. They don't teach boys how to be boys anymore. That's what they used to do in school. And they don't teach girls how to be girls either. They used to do that in school. We had home ec, and it taught boys how to be gentlemen, and it taught girls how to be ladies, taught girls how to cook, guys how to cook, because, back in the day, if a man didn't know how to cook, he didn't eat. Because back in the day, the man was the one who had the home for the girl to leave her family to go to a home. So he either made lots of money and had people working for him, or he had a good job and he had his own house and he kept it clean. And the reason why they did that was because in Scripture it said God made Adam and put him in the garden. See, Adam, and he gave Adam responsibility of that garden. That garden was his home. Adam had to keep the garden. That means clean it, take care of it, make sure that, it was well kept. That was his job, not hers. God only gave her to Adam, brought her into his home as a helper, not a servant, as a helper, a helpmate. She wasn't meant to do all the work like a servant, all the laundry, all the dishes, all the cleaning, all the cooking, all the yard. No, she was only there as a helpmate. He was to love her, cherish her, provide for her, as Christ does for the church. And it says, fathers, not to bring wrath to your children. Don't wrath against them. So you're not even supposed to be angry toward your children. You're not supposed to be angry toward your wife. Your wife is your crown, the Scriptures say. Yeah. And you wouldn't take your crown off your head and beat it up and do all those things to it, right? No, you wouldn't. You put it on your head and you stand tall and you treat it like it's something precious, something special. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do for your wives. But the world doesn't treat them like that no more. The world is trying to, over hundreds of years, try to keep this grinder like thing of, only a man is up here and women are down here and children are down here. And in today's society, the women and the children are a problem for the men because the men just want to sit around, and do their thing. And in my son's and my daughter's generation, they were born in the 80s, and so they kind of grew up in the 90s, I guess you'd say. That 90s generation of people who grew up, as games and all that started, young men became lazy. Now they just want to find a girl to latch onto who will do everything while they sit and play games. That's like my son's girlfriend. She left her mother's house because I guess she was living with her boyfriend and they had a child together. But he likes to sit around, play games, and be on the computer, living in her mother's house, no job, no nothing. And the mother allows it, And so she left because mom wouldn't kick him out because he wouldn't get a job, right? And I'm going, wow. So I have seen a lot of different family lives, and it's like, it's the same thing with, there's a lot of people, let's just say that. There's a lot of people that is around me of a younger generation, and I see where the boys, or I call them boys because they're boys pretending to be men, who want the satisfaction of what a man has, but they don't want to grow up and actually take the responsibility of a man. They like the idea of being called a man, but they behave like a child. And they live off of women, and women are working 2 and 3 jobs, and it's like, what? Oh, well, he's trying to get his disability. His hands work, his feet work, everything works. Oh, but he was strung out on this drug or that drug, and it's just hard for him to hold a job, so he's trying, and I'm going, I don't care. I don't care. He's fully functional, and that's where I'm talking about the system has failed. Because you've got people out there who can walk, talk, breathe, move, do everything at home, but go to a doctor. Oh, my back. Oh, I can't think right. I need disability. I can't hold a job because, and I'm going, and I'm seeing these people. Y'all, I'm almost 60 years old. And if I need to get a job, I'm going to go out there. I don't care if I've got to push grocery carts at my age into the thing. It's a job. I don't care if I've got to go and wait on tables. I've never done that before. It'd be kind of interesting. I'm sure it's hectic to be on your feet all day long. But people do it because it's survival. It's something that they do. If you're never challenged, you will never grow. If you stay in your comfort zone, you will never grow. So get out of your comfort zone. Quit depending on somebody else. Quit letting them hold on to your heartstrings, Because like I said, I know people who allow men to live off of them, and they don't work. Neither one works. They live off the government. Oh, it's hard. It's hard. No, it's not hard. If you're going to live in your car, then make sure you live in it next to wherever it is you're going to get a job. You got friends, you got family, you can go take a shower. And then you can come back to wherever it is you park your car. When I was young, my parents, they went around to campgrounds. We lived in campgrounds. We lived in a car. And my mama and my daddy worked. They'd work just to get money and try to get us in a spot they'd finally be able to get us a home we could live in. Something happened, whatever it was, and we'd have to move again. See, my daddy couldn't seem to hold a job very well, and he was one of those kinds that just liked to honeybee. And my mama was the one who was like, I've got a family to feed, I got mouths to feed, and somebody needs to work always for food. So it's different, My daddy was the handyman, just go around and get, jobs doing stuff, whereas my mom was a meal worker, sewing room, seamstress. That's what she did. So, but they did it with children in tow, and they had homes. It took a little while sometimes, but then they got homes. I remember living in abandoned houses. I remember those days. I remember going around down to the creek and washing clothes. I remember those days. I remember using the back seat as a bed or the floorboard. I remember that floorboard, that hump in the back of the car, the old Mustangs, and laying down and, and it getting hot on your head. I remember those days. I remember curling up in the trunk of a car and, Mom propping it up with a stick and putting a sheet over it so, people couldn't see us, but, it just kept things off of us, getting mosquito bit and stuff. I remember those days. Life can turn around if you try. But you got to have two. If you're going to be a couple, both have to work if you don't have anything. And I see a lot of even my own family members who just choose to live off of somebody else. They'll either live off their parents. Oh, I can't get a job because of this, or he won't get a job. Well, then throw him out. Ain't no man worth having who ain't going to work. The Bible says if a man don't work, he don't eat. Plain and simple. He needs to get up off his butt because that's what he's for. That's what he's supposed to do, take care of his family. And as a woman, coming from a woman's perspective, throw his butt out. And when he gets ready to be a man, then we'll discuss further future, movement. Otherwise, no. But these girls nowadays, oh, but I love him. He's my heart. So you're going to live on the streets while you got a worthless piece of Jack next to you, a baby in arm, and you're calling up all your friends and all those people that gets old after a while. I need money. I need money. Then you see them, they're smoking cigarettes, drinking sun drops and stuff, and it's like, you're drinking sodas, you're smoking cigarettes, and you're acting like you got luxury. Because those are luxuries. Drinking alcohol, smoking weed, drinking beer, sodas, those are luxuries. Those are not necessities. Buying your drugs, that's not a necessity. Bills, getting a home, living a life, that's a necessity. But it's beyond me. Why? How can you live like that? What mindset do you have that makes you think that it's good to live off? Oh, but I get food stamps. Okay. You get food stamps. And then they turn around and say, yeah, but I sell them. I take somebody shopping, they give me cash. I'm like, and so you buy your cigarettes and stuff with that. Yeah, or I'll call somebody and they give me money because, I'm hard up. I need something. I need to eat. But you're smoking a cigarette. You're not eating food. You see what I'm saying? That they don't have, there's something not clicking. They need to be taught from young up that strength is not, what they're doing is not strong. It's very weak-minded. But if they're taught to have a form of desire to do good for themselves, to lift up and rise above their problems, this world will be a lot better place. Anyway, I could just sit here and think and just talk about it all the time because it's something that bothers me, It's something. And this morning when I got inspired about how children treat their mothers disrespectfully because they think that they're being intrusive, back years ago, that was a mother's love. That's how mothers show their love. They try to guide you, even in adulthood. They try to give you good wisdom and advice. But a lot of mothers, granted, in the generation now, I've heard them. I'm looking at them going, that's not good advice. Because you're supposed to, as a mother, protect your family, not destroy them. Keep them together like glue. You are the glue. You're supposed to be the glue. But instead, you're not holding things together. You're like a glue that has no adhesive. you just break away at any given thing. You got to hold strong to your morals. You got to hold strong to what is right. Mamas and dads both. And don't let your children be swayed by their friends and by, the government, or by schools, or by mentors that aren't even good mentors. I hope y'all be safe out there. And I hope something that I said clicks something. I mean no offense by it. But what I do mean by what I say is iron on iron. Think about what rubbed you raw. Why? Why did anything that I say irritate you, upset you, rub you raw? Did you agree with anything? This shows the person that you are. It shows where you need to work. Check yourself out. There's a place in there, it says, get the beam out of your own eye before you try to get the speck out of somebody else's. Pretty much. And I tell myself that all the time. Make sure I have no beam in my eye before I try to get a speck from someone else's. This helps. Is it perfect? No. But it helps. And what this does is it helps get the beam out of your eye so that you can help others get the speck out. Because this can rub you absolutely raw. This can literally smack your nose, bust your butt, take a sledgehammer to your hands when you're going to touch something, and it'll tell you something you don't want to hear, but it's there. It's kind of like the iron against iron, as a friend is supposed to do for their friend. Love all people. So that means you're friends with everybody. And if you're a friend of a friend who tries the iron and advice and the guidance, then be a friend back and hear what they're trying to say, and speak kindly to them instead of irritated. I love y'all. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful day, and I hope you got something out of this. And remember, Almighty's watching. He's listening, and He wants to talk to you. So talk and listen to Him too. Bye.